one starry night, as I lay sleeping, one starry night, as I lay in bed, I dreamed I heard.
Yeah, this is Boxing 2020. For this video, we're going to be talking about the incredible win by Tyson Fury on the weekend. Just an amazing night. Everything from the build-up to the ring walk to the actual fight itself. It's going to go down in boxing history, no question about it. This is one of them nights that will never be forgotten, and all credit due to Tyson Fury. It was just amazing. The first thing we need to talk about is the manner of the win. It just wasn't competitive in the slightest bit. Deontay Wilder was just completely beaten up, literally like a man against a boy. Got manhandled, mauled, bloodied, battered, and just didn't have an answer for it. As I've stated before, that's the way I expected Wilder to be beaten. I just wasn't sure that Fury had the goods to do that, but he did. The rest is history. Incredible. Again, like, we'll be talking about this in 10, 20 years time. Looking back on that as just an amazing accomplishment, and in fairness, Tyson Fury's an amazing man. That's just, he's blowing people's minds, and he's risen to a level that very few fighters are going to get to. I think he'll be spoken in the future, not just as a great boxer, but a great man, and what he represents, the way he's been so outspoken and open about mental health issues. I just think it's great to see it happen. That's all I can say. I remember a time where you'd be hard-pressed to find another Tyson Fury fan. Before the Klitschko fight, for example, there was literally two other people that I knew of that, one, supported him, and two, thought he was capable of doing that. Maybe not even thought he was capable of doing that, but wanted to see him win, like, recognized the underdog he was, hoped that he would bring an end to the Klitschko era, which he did, of course. But yeah, that's, again, all that's been overshadowed. That's just part of the story now. The weekend was just amazing. All the belts are back in British hands, specifically in the hands of Tyson Fury and AJ, and it was just amazing. As I said, Wilder just looked completely lost in there. Tyson did what he said he was going to do, to a T. And in a certain aspect, he reminds me of Muhammad Ali. He's very much like Ali. He used to predict the round, used to predict the way in which he would beat somebody, and that's exactly what Tyson did. You know, besides styles, obviously the similar styles, as in being great boxers, great movers, high ring IQ. Just there's certain things about him that's Ali-like. But of course, he's his own man. He's today's heavyweight champion, WBC champion, and it was just an amazing achievement. All credit due. So the first thing I want to talk about the Kronk training. I heard someone say recently that Ben Davison is sort of the forgotten man in the whole story. I don't agree with that. I think he's always going to be remembered as the man who helped Tyson out. You know, he moved in with him for a long period of time, helped him through his darkest days, getting out of depression, making sure he's active, getting him fit. And I think that he's a very important part of the story. However, for this fight, Tyson made the best decision he could have made, and obviously went to Sugar Hill in the Kronk for a more aggressive approach to this fight. And that's the best thing he could have done, because never in a million years could I imagine Ben Davison giving him that advice. We all knew Tyson could box. He's the best boxer in the heavyweight division by far. Fluid movement, amazing jab, amazing evasive movement. And in my opinion, obviously Ben Davison never gave him those skills. They were already there, but he sort of tried to bring him back up to scratch. But by going to Sugar Hill, he added the tools that we needed to see from him in order to beat a man like Deontay Wilder. Obviously, the Kronk is known for being an aggressive style, great fighters such as Hitman Hearns, and it was just great to see that he actually did what he said. When he first said he was going to go in there and go for the knockout, push him back, of course I had my doubts like everyone else, until I saw his weight and I thought, oh, okay, he's going to go for it, he's going to do this, but can he pull it off? At last minute, the very last minute, I thought, yeah, do you know what, I'm going to back my man, I think he can do this. And he did. And again, what an amazing night, what an amazing weekend. It's changed everything, it's changed the whole landscape of the heavyweight division and opens up other possibilities, which I don't think would ever be possible as long as the belt was in Deontay's hands. There's one thing about Tyson Fury that sort of separates him from a lot of others, and I think that's his ability to develop and execute new skills. As I just said, he already had like amazing boxing ability, great defensive style, but now we know how well-rounded he is. He's added the aggression, he's added the weight and the mentality behind it to finish a man. We only saw that in brief moments in his history. One time I can think of would be against SS Cunningham. After he got dropped, he turned the aggression up. It's like it angered him. But I think everyone will agree that there was quite a gulf in expectations between SS Cunningham and Deontay Wilder. Tyson just absolutely battered him. There's no two ways about it. That's what happened. And anyone can say what they want to say. You can doubt the man, but I'm glad to see him take his place at the top of the heavyweight division where he belongs, especially after all the struggles he's had in the past. Historically, as I mentioned, I think his achievements are always going to be remembered, whether he retired tomorrow or if he goes on to fight Anthony Joshua, maybe one or two more high-profile fights. His name is always going to be cemented in the books, and that's something nobody's ever going to be able to change. I think Tyson represents the sort of struggles of everyday people. He's a very inspirational story to a lot of people, including myself and many others who have issues with anxiety, depression, other people who have issues with substance abuse and weight issues. He's sort of transcended boxing, and very few people are able to do that. He's always been a big personality. When he first came into the limelight, he played the part of a villain. He's always been a bit of a jokester, always been a funny man, great humor. But to rise to be an inspirational person from a misunderstood group, from a group that people seem to be quite openly hostile against, in honesty, you've got to admit there's a lot of prejudice against gypsy and traveling people, and I think he's a great representative. And again, I just think he's transcended what anybody could have expected of him, and all credit due to the man. I think it's great. If I'm going to bring this video to a conclusion, I don't want to make it too long, but I actually remember years back, before the Klitschko fight, there was a video with heavyweights sat around a table. I can't find it. I've been trying to find it, but I can't find it for the life of me. If anyone's got that, could you please post it in a link or in the comment section below, where he was sat there with Lennox Lewis, Frank Bruno, I think David Haye was there, Anthony Joshua was there, and not one person gave him a chance to defeat Klitschko. And I remember feeling sorry for him, because even though he was sat there with his fellow countrymen, nobody said, yeah, you can do it, Tyson. You know, I think you've got the ability to do this. Nobody could see that. And obviously, Anthony Joshua being sat across the table from him too, he was sort of viewed as the most capable and the most likely person to make a big impact in the division. And this was before either of them, I think, were considered ready to fight a man of Klitschko's level and change the heavyweight landscape. But despite all these men being sat around him and doubting him, I think the final word of the program was he looked at Anthony Joshua and they said, oh, have you got any advice for him? And he looked at Anthony Joshua and he just said, always make your own decisions. Don't let people make decisions for you, because when it's all said and done, it's going to come down to you. And I remember the look that he gave Anthony Joshua at the time, and the way everyone sort of looked at him as, this is a lamb to the slaughter. And fast forward over these years and look to where he is now, it's just an incredible story. I love this type of stuff. I'm big into boxing history. And a lot of times it's not just what happens in the ring that I find intriguing and exciting. It's the stories of the men or the women that eventually go into the ring to fight that make it exciting. And Tyson's story is definitely one that's going to be told for a long, long time. And as long as boxing is talked about, Tyson will be talked about. And then if you remember the reception after the Klitschko win, a lot of people weren't fussed, they weren't happy. Nobody really had much to say about him. Yeah, it was a boring fight, I'll admit that, but I was ecstatic. I was jumping around happy that he had beaten Klitschko because nobody had expected it. And I knew that would bring an end to the Klitschko era, which was hands down the worst in heavyweight history as far as I'm concerned. So he had a lot to contend with. As his father said, he thinks that might have contributed to his bouts with depression, the fact that he had climbed the mountain, become victorious against one of the longest reigning champions in history, and nobody seemed happy. Nobody seemed to congratulate him or give him the credit that he deserved. And again, look where he is now. You know, he's a man with underappreciated style and abilities. I think that is up until this weekend. A lot of people have just sort of said, well, yeah, you've got this big, huge guy, 6'9", and he moves well, but he's not exciting. He doesn't knock people out. But what can they say now? He's just taken out the #1 puncher in the division, the most feared puncher in the division over recent years. And it's just amazing how few people had faith in him. His father, Big John Fury, he predicted exactly what was going to happen. He said he had complete faith in his son to do what his son said he was going to do, and that's a great father there. You know, he backed his son. He's now saying he wants him to retire and that he doesn't see any point in continuing on, but I'd like to see Tyson hold out for a few more fights at least, because he just brings so much excitement and so much intrigue to the division. Obviously the main one would be AJ. Another fight I'd like to see him in would be against Dylan White maybe. And then, yeah, if he wants to call it a day, that's fine. But I think the AJ fight absolutely has to happen. That's what people have been wondering over the last few years, is of the three, who belongs where? Who's #1, who's #2, and #3? I think Wilder's spot may have slipped even further down than third in honesty now, because the manner of the beating he took was unreal. You know, he was quick to point the finger at AJ and laugh when Ruiz got a win over AJ, but that was nowhere near as dominant a performance as Tyson put on. Nowhere near as severe a beating as Tyson just gave him this weekend. And for a man who called himself the baddest man on the planet, the most feared man on the planet, that's got to be driving him crazy. Never again should anyone doubt the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. And speaking of gypsies, I'd just like to say that I think he's a great representative for gypsy people and traveling people around the globe. Of course, in history, there's been many a great gypsy fighters in and out of the ring. There's been, you know, they're a great fighting people, but never before has there been a global star of gypsy heritage. And I'd say Tyson Fury's the first, and really it should have been that way since he beat Klitschko. The same way Andy Ruiz Jr. was celebrated as being the first Mexican heavyweight, I believe Tyson Fury is the first gypsy heavyweight, as Jack Johnson was the first black heavyweight champion of the world, and that should be celebrated all around the world. Gypsy people, traveling people should be extremely proud of Tyson Fury and what he's achieved. It's just an epic win on so many different levels. You should definitely be happy for the man. He had his detractors, as everyone does, but you cannot deny this man's achievements, and I just think it's great. And hopefully it'll inspire many more gypsies to get involved in the professional ranks, and hopefully we'll see a lot more join the heavyweight ranks in the future. And that goes for all people all around the world. You know, the more the merrier. It's just a great thing to have diversity, different characters, different styles involved, different backgrounds. And as I said, he's an incredible ambassador for gypsy people, who do still battle against people's sort of prejudices here, quite openly in the UK. Obviously, that there are certain groups that do, certain minority groups, but I do think that the Gypsies are a group that people sort of overlook. I think the Americans tend to see it as a black and white thing, but it's not just black and white. You know, here in Britain, a lot of Gypsy people are talked bad about. There's a lot of stereotypes that go along with them, which is just ridiculous, as it is for any group of people. And I'm just really proud of Tyson Fury to represent in the way he has. And not just Tyson Fury, in honesty. You've got to credit his father, his wife, his uncle, great ambassadors, polite people, very old-fashioned, very decent, well-spoken people. And I think you'd struggle to find a better ambassador to sort of bring attention to that. So hopefully we'll see a decrease in that. Human beings are human beings, as Tyson said. I'm going to wrap it up here. I think I've been talking long enough. Like I said, all credit due to the Gypsy King. Long may he live. Hopefully we get some more action fights before he decides to retire. And let's see what the future brings. Thanks for listening, guys. Please like and subscribe. Leave your comments below. Let me know your thoughts. This is Boxing 2020. Peace.